Energy and environment. Topic: climate changes and indigenous people. Introduction. Briefly define the climate changes as long as the long-term alteration of temperature and typical weather patterns in a place. Mention the primary drivers including human activities such as burning fossil fuels and deforestation. Defining indigenous people as a distinct ethnic group with deep historical connection to their ancestral land, emphasizing the diversity of indigenous cultures worldwide. Interconnectedness of indigenous people and nature. The interconnectedness between the indigenous people and the nature is a profound and intricate relationship that extends beyond mere reliance and environment for sustenance. It encompasses spiritual, cultural, and practical dimensions, shaping the identity and the world view of indigenous communities. Here is a detailed exploration of these interconnectedness. First one, spiritual connection. Indigenous cultures often view the natural world as a sacred, imbued with a spiritual significance. The land, water, and air are seen as entities with life force, and there is a belief in reciprocal relationship with natural spirit. Ceremonies, rituals, and tradition are deeply rooted in nature, reinforcing the spiritual connection between indigenous people and the environment. Cultural practice aligned with nature. Indigenous communities have developed cultural practice that harmonize with the rhythms of nature. Traditional agricultural methods, hunting and fishing techniques are often based on sustainable principles, ensuring the long-term health of ecosystems. Cultural events and celebrations are often tied to a seasonal changes, reflecting the close observation and dependence on natural cycle. Importance in the context of climate change. The importance of the interconnectedness between the indigenous people and the nature becomes particularly pronounced in the context of climate changes. Indigenous communities, with their deep-rooted knowledge and sustainable practices, play a crucial role in addressing and adapting to the challenges posed by the climatic changing climate. Traditional knowledge as a climate resilience tool. Indigenous people possess a traditional ecological knowledge that has evolved over generations, offering insights into a sustainable resource management, adaptation strategies, and resilience in the face of environmental challenges. This knowledge is valuable asset for climate resilience as it provides practical solutions based on a deep understanding of local ecosystems. Adaptive strategies for changing conditions. Indigenous communities have a historical demonstrated adaptability to change environment conditions, including variation in weather pattern and shift in ecosystem. Their ability to adjust traditional practices in response to the climate fluctuation showcases a dynamic and flexible approach to environmental changes. Preservation of biodiversity. Indigenous territories often harbor rich biodiversity, and traditional practices are aligned with the preservation of diverse ecosystems. The conservation of biodiversity by indigenous communities contributes to global effort to combat the loss of species and maintain the ecosystem health, which is crucial for the climate sustainability. The role of indigenous wisdom in global conservation. The role of indigenous wisdom in the global conservation is significant, and multi-faced indigenous communities, with their deep connection to the land and traditional ecological knowledge, offer valuable insights and sustainable practices that contribute to the preservation of biodiversity and the overall health of ecosystem worldwide. Sustainable resource management. Indigenous communities have historical practice sustainable resource management based on the traditional ecological knowledge. Traditional practices such as rotational farming, selective harvesting, and controlled burning help maintain the balance of ecosystem, ensuring the long-term health of natural resources. Preservation of biodiversity. Indigenous territories often serve as a biodiversity hotspot due to their diverse ecosystem, traditional conservation practices. Indigenous knowledge about the local flora and fauna contributes the preservation of endangered species and the overall biodiversity of their region. Holistic approaches to conservation. Indigenous wisdom often takes a holistic approach to the conservation, recognizing the interconnectedness of all living beings and the environment. Conservation efforts informed by the indigenous people perspectives consider the relationship between the ecosystem species and the human communities, leading to the more comprehensive and sustainable strategies. Protection of sacred sites. Many indigenous cultures consider the certain natural sites as sacred imbued with the spiritual significance. The protection of these sacred sites is integral to the indigenous conservation effort as they are seen as essential for maintaining the spiritual and ecological balance of their surrounding landscapes. Conclusion. In the conclusion, the intersection of the climate changes and indigenous people represent a complex and urgent global challenge that demands attention and understanding the collaborative action. The unique interconnectedness between indigenous communities and nature, coupled with their traditional ecological language, positions them as a key stakeholders in the discourse surrounding climate change and mitigation and adaptation. Thank you.